Every good court case and every solid prosecution is made with solid evidence and good facts. But every jury is human. In this case, the murder of Todd Sturmer by his wife, Linda Sturmer, was a true tragedy. Tonight we present to you the top 5 most emotional moments in the prosecution witnesses against Linda Sturmer. Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breezy. It's a TV show on the internet about two best friends, one an actual 911 dispatcher and the other an authentic cop, who use our real-life experience to break down the biggest cases of true crime. In 2007 in Van Buren County, Michigan, the house of Todd and Linda Sturmer went up in flames. When neighbors arrived on the scene to find out what happened, they found Todd's body burned in the backyard. Linda said she didn't know how the fire started or how Todd actually got run over by the family van. After 2 years of investigation by the Van Buren County Sheriff's Office, it was eventually determined that Linda was responsible for Todd's murder. She was tried and convicted in 2010 and went to prison for 8 years. She used that time in the law library to get her own appeal on the grounds of prosecutorial misconduct and ineffective counsel. She's been out on bond since 2018, but she once again went back before a jury for the murder of her husband, Todd Sturmer, and once again, she was convicted. Neighbors, friends, and family would be called by the prosecution to say what they knew about Todd and Linda Sturmer, and there was no shortage of emotional moments from the witness stand. I couldn't help but be moved by their testimony, so I wanted to share with you the top 5 most emotional moments from the stand. Number 5, next door neighbor, Mike Matheni.
So when we listen to that tape, it sounds like it's a lot more than just chaotic.
Yeah. I never heard that before, yeah. Yes.
It actually even brought out emotion in you listening to it. So not only...
Look at Mike right now. It seems like he was having one of those moments where he was doing fine until the prosecutor said, "This was emotional for you, wasn't it?" And the walls that he had built up around himself to get through this testimony came crumbling down. He blew air out through his cheeks, through pursed lips, trying to keep it all together. He's looking at the ceiling, thinking just a few more minutes and he can get through this. You have to remember that Mike Matheni was one of the first people on the scene. When he jumped out of the truck trying to respond to the Sturmer's residence, he knew Todd. He looked for him. He walked past Todd Sturmer lying on the ground, burnt beyond recognition multiple times, not realizing that that was a person there. He was looking for Todd inside the house. You heard him on the 911 phone call. The dispatcher's trying to figure out what's going on in all the chaos. The dispatcher says, "Is there anyone inside?" And Mike's like, "There's no one inside." And he can't even say the words out loud that he's looking at a burned man in front of him. I can tell you from personal experience that sometimes 911 callers are so traumatized by what they see before them, they can't even say what it is. I think this is one of those cases. And Mike got out of his truck and did his best to care for Todd on the ground, but what he saw, he would never forget. And he heard the 911 call on cross-examination by the defense attorney, and he said, "I've never heard that 911 call before." And like for 911 dispatchers having to listen to the sounds of trauma and horrifying sights, it brought it back for him. It was so evocative that when he was on the stand and he was asked if he was emotional, he could barely keep it together.
Were you chaotic? Connie was chaotic. People were running around and screaming.
Yes.
Including Connie. You were panicked.
Yes.
Still even traumatizing to this day.
Yes.
So you were not in a good frame of mind.
Not at that time.
He did his best. But you could see again the rubbing of the forehead, looking at the ceiling, and just trying to keep his emotions together. You got to remember, this is a guy that works out in a junkyard. He's kind of a tough guy. He's someone who doesn't show his emotion. Being forced to relive that moment by listening to the 911 audio for the first time, it transported him back. He saw it right before his eyes again. Number 4, former coworker and former BFF, Kate Fox. Kate Fox was the BFF of Linda Sturmer, and they carpooled together. And Kate Fox was the shoulder that Linda Sturmer would cry on. She heard all about how abusive Todd was and how bad the relationship was. And she was also a close friend and confidant when Linda Sturmer began stepping out on Todd.
Can you tell the jury why your relationship started to dissolve?
I had loaned her $5,000 because she told me that her mortgage was about to default and she was going to lose her house. and I had gotten paperwork in the mail for a signature loan for $5,000. So she asked me if she could borrow the money and said that she would make the payments on it and that it would help build my credit. So I did. I took the check, I signed it, I went to my bank, I deposited it, and I had a bank draft drawn up to Linda Sturmer for the $5,000.
So you gave her then the entire $5,000?
I did.
And this was a loan in your name?
Yes.
And you did it why?
I didn't want her to lose her house.
And are you talking about the house that had burned, or are you
Yes.
talking about it? Okay.
Several months later, one of the bills came, because I hadn't even been opening them, I was just giving them to her. A bill came and it said final notice, so I opened it and realized that not one single payment had been made. I confronted her at work in the bathroom.
In the bathroom? And tell me what happened during that conversation.
She looked me in the eye and said she never borrowed money from me.
That's that awful moment, right? Linda Sturmer, your friend, this woman who has been through all this abuse and then lost her husband in this terrible fire, and she's about to lose her house, this absolute liability of a property where no one can even live. She's underwater financially, and she just needs $5,000 to get through. And she even tells Kate, hey, if you become a co-signer on this loan, it's going to build your credit too, because I'm going to pay it all back. So if you go in on the loan with me, you're going to reap nothing but benefits, and you can trust me. Kate Fox put personal trust in Linda Sturmer, and when she found out that she was left holding the bag, Linda Sturmer just straight up gaslighted her straight to her face, saying, I never lent you any money. When you lie to someone like that, when you gaslight them like that, I can tell you from experience, it's the worst feeling in the world. You get white hot angry. And that's exactly what happened to Kate Fox. And when she gets up on the stand throughout her entire testimony, she is ready to cook. Kate Fox is another one of those people who has been personally victimized by the psychopathic behavior of Linda Sturmer.
And what did you do?
I was angry. I yelled. I was very verbally abusive. I was very angry.
Because now you had to pay that $5,000 back.
Yes.
And what did Ms. Sturmer do then when you became angry with her?
She said a couple of things before she walked out of the bathroom, like, stop touching me, get away from me. And then she went out of the bathroom, and I followed her into the hallway and continued basically yelling at her.
It just gets worse and worse for Kate Fox. Not only does she have to pay back that $5,000, you know she never saw a dime of that. Just that moment of pure manipulation when Linda Sturmer, her friend, looks her right in the eye and says, I never borrowed money from you. I can't imagine how much her blood must have boiled. Number 3, next door neighbor, 911 caller, and most reluctant witness, Connie Calhoun. She was Mike Matheni's girlfriend. Mike Matheni went up to the house. Connie stayed in the truck. And eventually he told her to dial 911. You listen on that 911 phone call, you can hear Connie say the man is on fire.
She knows I'm her husband. It's okay, Todd.
What's your husband's name?
His name is Todd.
What's your husband's name?
My name is Mike. I can't talk to him. He's very avoidant. I'm trying to call him all over phone.
Is your husband inside her house?
No, he's outside on fire.
This traumatized her so badly that she ignored a subpoena to appear. She's not facing any criminal repercussions in this trial at all. This trial is not about her or her conduct. She acted in good faith. She acted as a good Samaritan, but she ended up having to be placed in jail on a $1,000 bond just because of her hesitancy to face this terrible moment on the stand. When she has to be told to tell the jury what she saw that day, it crushes her like a little kid.
At that time, was the van in the back of the house?
Yeah.
And then, what did you do then at that point?
I don't really recall.
Did you get out?
I did at work. At some point I did get out, yes.
What did you do when you got out of the van?
When I got out of our truck, I don't know.
Did you call 911?
I did call 911, yeah.
Did you tell them what was going on?
I did.
Were you upset?
Yeah.
Did you, at that point, see Todd?
Yeah.
That moment right there. It just shows you she's so weak this entire time, but she had been answering confidently until that moment when the prosecutor says, "Did you see Todd?" And it flashes before her eyes. A burned body, burned beyond recognition. Another neighbor who came from the other direction of Mike Matheni, when he got on scene, he knew Todd as well, and he had no idea who was lying there. And Connie saw Todd Sturmer, who she knew as well as a neighbor, that he was burned beyond recognition and still alive. And that marked her so painfully and so deeply, she has not recovered to this day. And I can't imagine where Connie is today, but having just gone through this again, she's not feeling good right now. And the conviction of Linda Sturmer can't even give her any comfort, because she went through all this already. She went through this trial in 2009. She tried to put it behind her 17 years ago, and she got called up again to do it again. So Connie can't feel any sense of security that this is all finally over, because she's worried that someday another appeal will be granted. And even if it's 8 years from now, she might be asked to come up here to get on the stand one more time and go through this, constantly re-traumatizing and leaving her through a very haunted life. That one horrible day where she saw Todd laying in the backyard. Number 2, Todd's son, Trevor Sturmer. You can't really talk about the most emotional moments when it comes to the death of Todd Sturmer and the trial of Linda Sturmer without mentioning their sons. And so they have 3 sons, and their testimony was replete with emotional moments. This is Trevor Sturmer.
And you said it was made out of plastic.
As I recall, yes.
He's talking about the John boat that was used to move Todd Sturmer's body away from the house.
Do you recall what color it was?
Yes.
What color was it?
Probably mostly black and green. My dad had let me spray paint it at one point.
He let you spray paint it?
Yeah. It's supposed to be camouflage. I did my best.
You tried to make it camouflage?
Yes.
Didn't turn out very well?
I guess not. I had fun doing it, though.
That's an emotional moment, because that's a moment where Trevor remembers his father. And the prosecutor realizes it, and she wisely seizes the moment. She says, "What was the color of the boat?" It was mostly black and green, he recalls. And like Mike Matheni, you can see his jaw shifting as he tries to stamp down the emotions. Having to recall the color of the boat just reminds him of a time where his father loved him and gave him a project to do. And even though it didn't turn out, it's still such a fond memory for him. And you can see that his love for his father is still there, and that he misses his father very much. And it's a strange moment, but for me, it shows not only the sadness from Todd Sturmer being gone, but the love that was in their lives. Number 1, Todd's son, Corey Pierce. And when I say son, this is actually Linda's blood. But Corey Pierce no longer claims Linda as a mother, and he still claims Todd Sturmer as his father. He was adopted, but his respect for Todd and his hatred for Linda was on the stand. In fact, at one point, the defense attorney accused him of having an axe to grind. He says, "You don't get along with your mom, do you?" "No." "Oh, you didn't get along with your mom." But this is a moment where he talks about his father on the stand, and he's not able to hold anything back.
What was the common practice at your house as far as talking to your parents before you left?
We would always give our parents a hug and kiss goodbye and tell them that we loved them.
Did you do that every time you left?
Every time, yes. That was a general rule that we couldn't go to a friend's house. We couldn't go anywhere unless we had said goodbye.
That moment he breaks down. He says, "We never left anywhere. We never went anywhere without saying I love you." All 3 of his sons said the exact same thing. There was no machismo at all. They said that they hugged and kissed both of their parents before they left the house. That's what kind of loving household this is, or is supposed to be. This is the standard in the Sturmer house, that when you leave, you hug and kiss your mom goodbye. And on this terrible day where Linda woke them all up early on a Sunday morning to go watch a movie, they went upstairs to say goodbye to their father, and she told them no and sent them out the back.
You didn't get to say goodbye that day, did you?
No.
And those are the top 5 most emotional moments from the stand in the People Against Linda Sturmer. Ultimately, direct and circumstantial evidence made a compelling case, but it was the lies that she told and the stories of her family, friends, and neighbors that convicted Linda Sturmer. But these are just my opinions. You watched the trial. Which witnesses and which moments moved you the most? Leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Also, if you want to see our continuing coverage of the second trial of Linda Sturmer, make sure you check out all of our videos right here in the Comm Center. We've got some great comprehensive coverage and more to come. And if you want, make sure you hit like and subscribe to keep up with all the content here on the Comm Center.